I know we're supposed to honour the Shabbat as a day dedicated to Yahweh, but I just wanted yesterday to be over. All I could think about was what had happened to Jesus the day before. The image of him dying in agony on the cross just kept replaying over and over in my head. And added to that was my sense of guilt that I hadn't been able to prepare his body for burial properly, hadn't the courage to break the Shabbat law as he would have done, to go and do something which I knew in my heart to be right. I hadn't even got the excuse of not knowing where his body was, for I'd seen where Joseph and Nicodemus had placed him. I'd still been hanging around when they turned up, unable to tear myself away, even though I knew it was all over. Keeping my distance, I'd watched them place him in a tomb in a garden nearby where he'd been crucified. I'd wanted to come out last night, the minute the sun had set and Shabbat was over, but the others persuaded me it was too dangerous, that we were being watched by the authorities. I might have retired last night, but I certainly didn't sleep, which is why I was out so early this morning. I couldn't wait any longer, so I crept out of the house with my spices while it was still dark. It was only as I was hurrying along that I realised I wouldn't be able to move the stone from the tomb by myself. Imagine my surprise, therefore, when I got there to find the tomb open. Had the tomb been desecrated? Had someone stolen Jesus' body? I couldn't bear to look for myself, so I turned and fled in terror to Peter, yelling that Jesus' body was gone. Something must have snapped in Peter and John, because the next thing I know they were out of the stupor they'd been in and went charging off. Having run to them, I hadn't the energy to keep up. By the time I got back to the tomb, Peter was all fired up, ready to do an injury to someone who had taken Jesus' body. And John was trying to calm him down, going on about something Jesus had said about rising again in 3 days. They were still arguing as they left and had completely forgotten about me. I just stood there weeping. What was going on? Had someone taken Jesus' body? But what of his strange words about rising again? Was there any truth in them? Finally, I plucked up the courage to peek into the tomb for myself. I was astonished to see 2 men in white sat in there, with the burial clothes between them. I'd been outside the whole time since Peter and John had gone, and I would have seen if anyone had gone in. "Why are you weeping?" they ask. "Because they've stolen Jesus," I yell, and turn in terror and almost run headlong into a third person outside. Thinking the gardener might know where Jesus was, I had the presence of mind to ask him. Suddenly, it's as though time stops, and for a moment my heart did too, as I hear my name, Mary. Suddenly I fully know as I am fully known. Rabboni, I respond, and I am in Jesus' presence. I go to take hold of him, but he takes a step backwards, clearly not wanting me to, but not in a way that means rejection. Instead, he tells me to go and tell the disciples that he'll be ascending to God the Father. Just a couple of days ago, it had felt as though the light of the world had gone out, and now it feels like a new dawn. I don't understand how it works, but I know that God has wrought salvation through what happened to Jesus. Not just for me, but for everyone and the whole of creation. This news has to be shared, not just now with the people of Judea, but with all people for all time. What am I going to do about that? What are you going to do about that?